Good morning, everyone. I'd just like to say a few words about our opening piece of music, which we'll hear in just a second. One of the great joys for me in making music here at the Fellowship is the wide variety of music that we embrace. So reflecting our pluralistic faith, where multiple theologies and philosophies peacefully coexist, our music runs the gamut of styles and genres. One Sunday, we may feature something like Stevie Wonder or Marvin Gaye. I know, which a lot of people love. And another, like maybe the next week, we'll have something also loved by many others, like Bach or Mozart. Woohoo! So, of course, these different types of music, like our different philosophies or theologies, may resonate more for some people than others. Say, personally, my favorite genre of music is usually whatever I happen to be working on that particular day. But beyond this personal preference of theology or of music, I'd like to think that there is an underlying appreciation for the variety of styles and for what may resonate with the person sitting next to you. So with that in mind, I'd like to say a couple words about the piece that Aaron, our cellist Aaron, and violist Allison are going to be playing for us. The piece is called American Haiku, and it's by Japanese-American composer Paul Wianco. We'll hear each of its three parts throughout the service. This piece was written in 2014, and it's in part a reflection on the composer's Japanese-American identity. So it incorporates Japanese folk-inspired melodies, and right next to that and woven in with that is like Appalachian fiddling techniques. So you'll hear that. You'll hear other somewhat unconventional sounds and techniques, lots of glissandi, kind of sliding on the strings, a variety of plucks, even some percussive patterns. So these are all woven together into a rich and ever-changing texture of sound. So at one point in the middle movement, I think I even hear like a chugging of a locomotive. I'm not sure if that was intended, but I hear that. So as we listen to this pretty incredible piece, I'd ask you to listen with an open mind and an open heart and open ears, and ask yourself, what do these textures, what do these sounds evoke for you, and what does the piece communicate to you? Thanks.
Good morning. Welcome everyone to the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Welcome Zoomies. I'm Reverend Lydia Ferrante Roseberry. I'm the minister of this congregation. I'm joined today by Service Associate Gloria Pearlstein. Thank you, Aaron Patterson on cello, Allison Stibbards on viola. That was absolutely beautiful. So thank you and this is one of three parts that we'll be hearing throughout the service. Ted Coriath today is on piano. Wendy Nelson is our hymn leader. And our tech team today is Deborah Mensch, Boone Kowalchuk, and Kathy Partridge. Thank you for all your behind-the-scenes work. I invite you to settle into the embrace of this community as I say our welcome words today. You are all welcome here today. In all the beauty of languages, cultures, skin tones, shapes and sizes, gifts and challenges that come together in your uniqueness, you are welcome here. In all the ways that you experience and express gender, you are welcome here. In the beauty that is who you love and how you love, you are welcome here. In all the ways you make your living, in all the places you are from, you are welcome here. With all of the traditions that inform your spiritual life, you are welcome here. No matter how long you are away, nor how soon you will return, you are welcome here. Whether you come with laughter in your heart today or with tears, you are welcome here. You are invited to join us with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands. We welcome you today. We acknowledge that the land surrounding us is the stolen territory of the Arapaho people, and that many Native people roamed freely on this land for millennia before the arrival of white settlers. And as a congregation, we commit ourselves to being a center for spiritual exploration and justice making, and to anti-racism and anti-oppression work within and beyond the walls of this community. Well, Boulder County COVID level has recently risen to medium again. I know, right? It means masks are recommended to help lower the transition rate, and for folks at high-risk groups, including those over the age of 65. So masks are now recommended again. Please take that into consideration today. And just as a reminder, those of us speaking from the pulpit have tested negative for COVID this morning. There's no sharing of joys and concerns today, so if you do have something you wanted me to know or others to know, feel free to contact me, or you can also contact our lay pastoral care associates. They have little ribbons that say lay pastoral care associate. Is that yours, Mary? I'm looking at yours, or little purple ribbons. So. And if you're new here, we are so glad you found us and hope that in this community you'll experience the warmth and love, whether you're in person or on Zoom. Each Sunday is different. Come back a few times. There's always a lot going on here. And check out what we do during the week as well. You'll see in the Zoom chat some opportunities to do that, some links. And those of you in person can head out to the foyer for learning more about what the congregation does. Everyone on Zoom is invited to stay following the service for casual conversation in our Zoom coffee hour. And if you're here in person, we have coffee hour in the fellowship hall. And our caring council will be sharing about their ministry during today's Inquirer session, which is here in the sanctuary, about 15 minutes following the service. Finally, if there's any Zoom folks who would like to introduce yourselves on the chat, if you're new, please do so. And those of you in here, just turn around, say hi to your neighbor, maybe catch the name of somebody you haven't met before. Sorry to have to rein you in, but we do have a chalice lighting and a service to get to. So, so if you have a chalice at home, you can light it and put in the chat where your chalice is lit from, the name of your town. And all of us, I invite us to say our chalice lighting words together. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action. And now I'll sing our bowl again and invite that to draw you deeper into the present moment and into the company of this gathered community.
Our opening words this morning are "The Home That Love Made" by Reverend Amanda Poppy, slightly adapted to fit our context. This is the home that love made. It is full of the love that the founders felt when they broke strong ties to create a new congregation.
This is the home that love made. It is full of the love of our members who gave generously of time and money to plan out these walls and to raise these beams above us.
This is the home that love made. It is full of the love of all who have worshiped here, those who have celebrated and grieved here, the babies dedicated, couples married, and family members mourned here.
This is the home that love made. It is full of the love of our children as they learn and laugh together, and our youth as they grow into their own sense of purpose and meaning.
This is the home that love made. It is full of the love of the staff who have served it, full of their hopes for this congregation, their hard work, and their acts of dedication.
This is the home that love made. It is full of the love of the choir, the band, our many instrumentalists, and you. That love made so clear in the music that we share here together.
This is the home that love made. It is full of our love, the love of this community. Despite our differences and our disagreements, the love that holds us together as a people.
This is the home that love made. Can you feel it? May the love be with us always.
Good morning. We are going to sing together this morning the first hymn. It's in the gray hymnal, number 128, For All That Is Our Life. And if you would rise in body or spirit, again, that's number 128 in the gray hymnal. Wonderful. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift. services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks for all that is our life. For sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks for all that is our life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
This is not on my script, but I'm just going to tell you that I had one of those mornings this morning where I was sitting here quietly, all prepared, and just watching the congregation slowly come in and just being filled with that love. And sometimes, and I did it this morning, as you're coming in, I just say a little prayer for each of you. As you're walking in, I will say, may you be well, may you be well, may you be well. So those mornings are so special for me. Oftentimes I'm caught in the busyness of the preparation of service, and to have a morning like this just fills me up. This week we start with the Soul Matters theme of the path of love. My all-time favorite definition of love is from Scott Peck, from his seminal book, The Road Less Traveled. How many of you read that book? You know, anybody? It was 1978 it was written, so I'm looking at the hands going up and it all makes sense, right? Scott Peck's definition of love is the will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth. The will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth. Now, the term spiritual may not resonate for some of you. Perhaps you might replace spiritual growth with self-awareness or connecting to their best self. Peck says the great awareness comes slowly, piece by piece. The path of spiritual growth is a path of lifelong learning. The experience of spiritual power is basically a joyful one. And love itself is joyful. What I love about this is he's really saying we choose the path of love. It's not a feeling, although love brings feelings on, but we choose a path of love. We choose or we don't choose to extend ourselves in love with our friends, our families, our intimate partners, and in our communities. In fact, I believe, like you religious educator, Lila Ibrahim, that we are not in church to be with people who want to sing the same music, or rally for the same cause, or attend the same retreat. That's not why we're here. We are here in church or in our fellowship to learn to love better. And that is a deep spiritual practice. Now, next week I'll be talking about how the UUA is proposing that we put love at the center of our faith. Oh, something happened to my script. This week, though, I will ask you what it would be like if you and I were to put love at the center of our actions. For years, you've probably heard the saying, Christians have been saying, what would Jesus do, right? We've all heard that, right? So I asked you, what if we asked ourselves, what would love do? What's the most loving thing I can do right now with whatever is before me? Now, I'll actually have I actually think that's how Jesus did live his life, and I'll talk about that another time in the coming weeks. Love isn't mamby-pamby. Love is risky. It's risking to extend oneself in a caring gesture that may be rejected. It's risking to be vulnerable with another about our weaknesses. It's risking to speak truth to power. There's a fierceness to love as well. It's risking to forgive and to ask to be forgiven. It's risking to put your precious resources towards an endeavor whose outcome is not certain. And if the last few years have taught us anything, it's that life, in fact, is uncertain. This is lifelong learning. And what a beautiful gift it is that we have this community in which to learn to love better together. Learning is also risky, and learning is also messy. So having a beautiful community does not mean having a perfect community. It means having a messy community. This is such an exciting time in the life of our fellowship. It's really a pivotal moment. Way back in 2016, this congregation approved what we called our strategic direction. And we charted a course to become a center for spiritual exploration and justice making. At that point, we were bumping up against each other in a building that was way too small for the size that we were, and definitely too small for this vision. So we set out to expand our building, and now it's more than twice its original size. No one would have guessed at that time that it would take us 6 years to get that new building dedicated. So for all of those years, and I'd say even the years before, while it was our dream, we were focused on getting that building built and then getting back into that building. And now we're here. So now our building is our resource, not our mission. It's our resource to put into the work of love. It's not our mission anymore. And that's a shift. So much energy was focused on getting us to this point, and now we're here. This building can provide a draw, a place of beauty, a container, but it will take our will, our intention, our resources of time and money, our love, to use this space to bring our values into life. Our values of love, reason, compassion, and justice. And we're already on the right track. I have the privilege of being here a lot and seeing many wonderful ways that this building is used and how we're already bringing love, reason, and justice into this space. Now, you might know that the Colorado Statewide Parent Coalition meets here weekly. Maybe you don't know that. It's a group of Latinas. We have the Lafayette Latina parents meet here. They're in the Mountain View room every Wednesday afternoon. What you probably don't know is these Latina parents brought the Boulder Valley School District superintendent here twice to hold him to account for how Latino parents or Latino students are being treated. What? Orale. So you may not know, like the things I've learned being here is that IEPs are not translated into Spanish. An IEP is an independent educational plan, individual educational plan. So if you're a Latino student, you get your plan, and you need special education services, you get your plan in English, and many of these folks do not have bilingual parents. And they go into these meetings, I've been in them. Even as an educated English speaker, it is like a foreign language. So I can't even imagine the second burden on parents. So what's happening in our connections in this building is we're providing a space for that organizing to happen. That's a fierce love in action. You probably know that we were able to host Las Posadas for the Lafayette community again, Latina community again. And that following that event, we were asked to host 2 wakes here for young Lafayette Salvadoran men who died tragically within a very short period of time. What you may not know is that neither the mortuary, the local mortuary, nor the Catholic Church could provide the services this community needed in a culturally appropriate way. They needed a long period of time for hundreds of people to come in and out. That's how memorials and wakes happen in the Latina community. And the mortuary offered them a room that would fit 30 people for an hour. And the Catholic Church also did not offer them the space and wanted to charge them for the space they had. We are doing it here. And I can't thank Chris Itano enough for reigniting that relationship with our Latino community here, and Millie Montgomery, David Burrows, and Elisa Burrows for doing the heavy lifting on organizing these events as we were trying to figure out how to do that. So thank you. We also, these are just some of the things I'm noticing. So we have a growing music series initiated by Tad Koryeth and Andrew Metzroth. Speaking, as Tad said, to the pluralism of our musical tastes, from kirtan to classical, we've been having it all. We'll have Pete Warnick here with Flexigrass next month, right? This month? Coming up soon. We hosted an amazing multi-faith Martin Luther King Day celebration here last week with members of First United Methodist Church and the Second Baptist Church of Boulder. That was also a beautiful event where our space got to be that space. And I peeked into a soulful vision board session led here by, it was one of the auction events, where a group of people were just creating their vision boards for the year. We have a discussion group, Thoughtful Endings discussion group, which has been started by Constance Holden and Mazia Chitara for people to talk about end-of-life issues. The Lifespan Faith Formation Council, led by Lisa Holmberg and Marianne Lawler, organized a 20s and 30s gathering that drew many of our newer folks here. I saw the pictures last night. It looked really fun. Our playground has been planted with shade trees thanks to the work of Debbie Lane, Larry Arp, and David Burrows. And our landscaping team, Wendy Highsmith and Robin Rathwig, are making plans for our land that will expand our capacity for our property to enhance our vision and our mission. And yesterday, we returned to our mid-year gathering called Meeting of the Minds. And we had our first of what I hope is many impromptu karaoke events. Thanks to Christiana Olivo and Mary Stackpole for the excellent planning of that event. At yesterday's Meeting of the Minds, we started some boards that we're sharing with one another. We have a board about our present garden, what we love. We have a board for seeds for our future. What do we need to plant now so that we can envision the future we want? And then our wildest imaginations of what we could do together. Those are in the fellowship hall, and you can add to them. So go on in there. Throughout the pledge drive, you'll be able to add to them. We are growing in love here. We're growing in justice. We're growing in compassion. And it's messy. And we'll make mistakes, gaining awareness, especially around cultural differences, and then we'll try again. But I never want our concept of center to become insular, closing us off to only those who come to us. My vision of this is that it's radiant, that our bringing people here inspires us as we go out into the world with our own bodies, joining others in their endeavors. I hope you'll also take the opportunity to connect with our UU emerging ministries that we're supporting. The Longmont UU Presence has a Longmont gathering, a regular Longmont gathering, and we have the Mountaintop, a BIPOC UU community, and the UU Racial Justice Council. All of these things are ways that our reach goes beyond the geography of our understanding of ourselves, of the word center. All of those are financially supported by the fellowship as well. All of this takes time and effort, and we have such a beautiful community that comes together again and again to create these events and to create these spaces for one another. And it takes financial commitments to keep this community strong. Beloveds, this is your community. You create it, you engage with it, and you support it. As you enter this year's pledge drive, I invite you to consider the ways that you want to make this love manifest through Boulder Valley UU Fellowship, and to give a meaningful gift towards that effort. This is the home that love made. Can you feel it? May that love be with us always.
Each week, we remind ourselves of the abundance in our lives and in this community by giving half of our plate away to those organizations that share our values. Today, the half plate is for the I Have a Dream Foundation, which provides individualized social, emotional, and academic support to young people from under-resourced communities, from first grade all the way through college, along with guaranteed tuition support. This congregation has a long-standing relationship with the I Have a Dream Foundation. We are one of the first congregations in the nation to help sponsor a class of Dreamer Scholars. Many people from this congregation have donated individually and volunteered over the years. You can text your donation to the number on the screen, or if you're in the fellowship today, place a donation in the offering plate as it passes. Please give generously as you so often do. Today, we will also have a chance to share our answers to the question, where have you seen love growing in this fellowship? If you feel moved to answer the question, please use your phone or another device to go to the webpage uutalk.zone and follow the instructions on the slide or in the Zoom chat to enter your response. The length of your response will be limited because everyone will be displayed and we want them all to be readable. Thank you.
Boy, those were so sweet to read. Thank you for those of you who participated in that. For the work of this fellowship and the work of the I Have a Dream Foundation, we dedicate our efforts and our offerings.
I joined this fellowship in 2015. At that time, I never dreamed that I would be speaking to you from this podium. And if you told me that today I would be here as part of the kickoff of our yearly pledge drive, I would have said no way, and then possibly run for the door. But I have come a long way in the last 7 years. When I joined this fellowship, I had not had any prior experience with pledge drives. The Ukrainian Orthodox Church that I attended as a child and into my mid-20s raised its operating money through annual dues. So the church officers would tell families the amount of the dues, and people would pay it or not, depending on their circumstances. Later, I attended a couple of New Thought churches, a Unity church and a Science of Mind church. And neither of those had conducted an annual pledge drive either. So when I encountered my first pledge drive here, I felt pretty uncomfortable about it. People were talking more openly about money and the fellowship's needs for money than I was accustomed to. And the prospect of meeting with a steward made me nervous. I was afraid I'd have to talk about how much I was pledging or be pressured to pledge more than I was ready to give. But as most of you already know, those things didn't happen. And so over my time here, my thinking and my feelings have really changed. Our openness about the need for pledges now seems very much like our openness about other topics that many people don't discuss. I'm thinking, for example, of explorations of gender identities, aging and death, and racism within our own structure. Also, now, feeling into the right amount for my yearly pledge seems like a part of clarifying my values and my beliefs. Part of that UU principle of a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. And despite that initial nervousness about meeting with a steward, I've actually enjoyed those meetings. They have not been about the pledge amount, but they've been relaxed, no pressure chances to get to know more people. And I really appreciate the time and the energy that the stewards and the pledge team give to this effort. I also have gained a lot of confidence about the ways that this congregation handles the donations that it receives. During the 2019 and 2020, and then again the 2020 and 2021 church years, I served as secretary on the fellowship board. And in that role, I learned a lot about our budgeting and financial accountability processes, and was extremely impressed by the fellowship's carefulness around spending. So thank you, treasurers, finance committee, and board of directors. And just after my term as secretary ended, I had some major surgery, and I got to feel what firsthand what a caring community this is. And I thank all of those people who helped to support me at that time. Finally, as I've been here, I've become more and more impressed by our minister, our staff, and you all. Yes. Your talents, your skills, your thoughtfulness, your love, your caring, your generosity are all amazing. So I feel very fortunate to be part of this community and to be able to support it during this year's drive. Thank you.
That piece had me on the edge of my seat. It was so beautiful. Like I just didn't know what was going to come next in this very beautiful way. So thank you. Thank you so much. So you probably know that a vast majority of our income comes from the pledges of members and friends. And during the pledge drive, each member of the fellowship is invited into a visit by a steward. This is an opportunity to connect with other members of the congregation, to share stories about your journey, about the congregation's journey, and how together we support each other's individual and collective journeys. I'd like to have this year's stewards who are in the sanctuary please come forward. If you're a steward this year, please come forward. And the stewards on Zoom, you're asked to raise your hands, and I'm going to raise your Zoom hand. You can find that feature by clicking on reactions at the bottom of your screen, or more if you're on a smartphone. And then we'll put you on the big screen with the rest of us, for the rest of us to see, actually. Look at all these great people. Oh my goodness. I think we have 27 stewards this year. So first of all, just thank you. I'll just start by saying thank you. You've been called up from the congregation. You raised your hand when you were asked to raise your hand, invited and entrusted to do what I consider sacred work, to engage in these holy conversations. These are individual conversations which, by design, will nourish, deepen, and connect us more as a congregation. And they're conversations that are a little countercultural, because they're conversations about what matters to us most in our relationship as a congregation. It's about our loves and our longings to create a world that our hearts know is possible. It's a tiny conversation. And there are also conversations that invite people to align their resources with their values, with what we hold most dear. Now, to you all, members and friends, as well as Zoomies, look at these marvelous people. They don't look scary, do they? All right, but I do have to, do any of you bite? Okay, we have no biters here. They're not scary. They look like the kind of folks you'd want to have a conversation with, don't they? Yeah. And these people are dedicating themselves, their hands and their hearts, to help us reach our $500,000 pledge goal for this year. So that's a mighty goal, right? It's last year's pledge goal was, I think, 470, if we're 474, and now we're aiming for 500. It pays for our salaries, mortgage, utilities, the upkeep, and the programming. So I'm going to urge you all, Zoomies and Roomies, to accept a visit from your pledge steward. Look at these beautiful people. Even if you already know what you're going to pledge, and even if you can't pledge this year for some reason, no pledge is too small. There's no pressure from your steward about the resources you pledge, and your steward won't know your pledge. The majority of the visit is simply getting to know you, build deeper connections. Deep friendships have been built in these stewardship visits, am I right? And casual friendships have been deepened. So today we will covenant as a way to state our best intentions towards one another during this pledge drive. I'm going to ask you to answer "we will" enthusiastically when I'm done here. As stewards, will you covenant with the congregation to listen to congregants' dreams and concerns with open hearts, to keep private what should be kept private, and to share only information which you have been asked to share? If so, enthusiastically answer, "we will." We will. All right. Members and friends of the congregation, I'm asking you to covenant as well. And with a "we will" at the end, enthusiastically. We ask you to covenant with one another, to make time in your busy lives to accept a steward visit, to prepare for the conversation by reflecting upon your own resources and the value of the fellowship in your life, and to support the fellowship with a pledge to the best of your ability. If so, please answer, we will. Oh, that was nicely enthusiastic on both sides, I'll say. This is sacred work. So I invite us to all say together, what's written there? Together we covenant to enjoy each other's company, to respect each other's ideas, perceptions, and beliefs, and to have fun while raising funds to ensure the health of our congregation, growing our vision together. Thank you. You may be seated. Have fun on your visits.
In the spirit of that covenant and of the growing our vision together, we're going to sing again together one more time in our teal hymnal, number 1028, The Fire of Commitment. So that's in the teal hymnal, The Fire of Commitment, number 1028. Please rise in body or spirit and sing along with me. From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our minds and souls ablaze, when our hunger and our passion lead to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our minds and souls ablaze, when our hunger and our passion need to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our minds and souls ablaze, when our hunger and our passion need to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
Oh, yeah. I have a couple of announcements today. The Inquirers series today here in the sanctuary will be the Caring Council, and then next week, February 12th, it's the Social Justice Council. This is from BVCAN, our Boulder Valley Community Action Network. Would you like BVF to make positive changes in our community? Yes. While responding to issues that impact our families and loved ones? Today, after the service in the Mountain View room, which is that corner over there, come for a small group discussion on community issues such as housing and mental health, but not restricted to those two issues, led by BVCAN and Together Colorado. This is a chance to share your stories and your thoughts. It's from 11:15 to 12. They'll also be scheduling a small group discussion on Zoom, and our team is available to meet with folks one-to-one, and Kathy Partridge is leading this effort. And those are the announcements for today. So, I'm going to do this. I'm doing this part. So please join me in as we say the words to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, or the energy of action. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. Beloveds, can you feel the love here? I hope you can. Don't keep it here. Go forth. Bring it out into the world, fiercely, gently, caringly, kindly, compassionately, whatever is your way, bring it out into the world. Blessed be. Amen.